At the wall, and the Rams, for the 10th time in school history, are going to the NCAA tournament. Everybody dogpiles on Robbie Andrews, the outfielder.
Last year we were coming off a losing season, so I think we'd had some guys that won a championship in the past, so they were hungry to win, and we had some newcomers that really helped them, and the team developed as the season went along, and we got off to a good start in the league, and then sort of held on and had the 3 slot, but I don't think a lot of people were picking us to win the tournament, and we played really well and had some guys step up, Van Meter and Ritchie and Bolts, and those guys step up at tournament time, but they're gamers and they did a great job. So it was good to get back to the regional, and we're hoping to build on that this year. I hope the winning part, as far as they feel good about themselves, you hope the fat and happy part doesn't stick with them, that they're still thinking about that. If they're thinking about last year's championship, then they're probably not going to be very good this year. This is a whole different team, and we've talked to them about that they need to really work on being the best team they can be at the end of the year for this club, and hopefully we'll have a little momentum. But once again, coming back as champions, guys play you a little differently, and so they're going to have to play their best.
Yep. New guys and new positions. We'll see.
Well, you've got Mickey Onis at first coming back, and you've got Nick Kime, who played the last third of the year at short. But your 2 new guys you're going to have is really Paul Nice, who's a returner, but he's going to be at second, and he was recruited as a second baseman, so he's back at that spot coming from the outfield. And then Joey Kugis and Taylor Perkins will probably split time at third. So, the 2 holes we have to fill is obvious Joey, Van Meter being gone, and Ritchie. So you're filling them with Nice and then Kugis.
Games of 1 and loss, starting right at the mound. What do we got?
Got everybody back. We lost, we really lost one arm in Robbie Andrews, so we got to fill that hole as a closer. But I think we'll be able to do that with Jonathan Watson and Ryan Morris and Kyle Pelche. The staff, all 3 starters are back from last year. Actually, all 4 starters are back from last year, plus Mike Graham and some others. We've got a couple newcomers, like I mentioned. Ryan Morrison should help us out on the mound. David Benson should help us out in some spots. He's new. So, we're pitching is our strength, and we're going to have to live on the mound.
Seth Cutler-Volts really emerged last year and gave us some big games. Can we expect the same from him this year?
Well, once again, I think people will be more prepared for him. Usually you go into the year, nobody really knows who he is. He's going to have to pitch better than he did last year, because he's going to pitch on Friday nights again, and we'll sort of be the hunted a little bit. So we're expecting him to do real well, and he's prepared, and hopefully he can do that.
Some changes in college baseball, a new style of bat. Just explain what the difference is and how do you think that's going to affect the game?
Yeah, basically what they did was, I think they were more worried about the integrity of the game, and you had the composite bats that teams were rolling. I won't mention the brand, but they were able to roll the bats and make them basically thin out the walls and make it more of a trampoline effect, so the bats were hotter. What they've done is they've thickened the walls, they've thinned the bat out a little bit, spread the weight out throughout the bat. So basically your sweet spot smaller, the wall is thicker, so it's back to where the bats first came out, probably when I was playing in '83, '84. Ball doesn't really jump, it doesn't carry. I think your true power hitters will still get their home runs. I think your twingy foot hitters won't. Speed will come into play, bunting, all little things. I think it's going to be harder for the coaches in game strategy than we probably think coming in, because when you're going to bring the infield in, you're just going to have a pretty good feel of what you're doing, and if you don't, I can see you losing some close games.
So see a lot more small ball?
Yeah, you're going to see more bunting early in the game, and we've worked on that, and you're going to see more squeezing. You're going to see, you'll still see hit and runs. You'll still guys trying to run probably in the past. So obviously you've got to do a good job holding runners, fielding your position bunt-wise, and your catchers have to be very accurate. If they're throwing the ball in the center field and giving first or third, it's going to be trouble. And then I think outfield play will come into play, more outfield throwing, of making guys going from first to third. I think you can't take the guy that was an average outfielder and just stick him out there and expect him to hit. You're going to have 8 players on the field.
Scheduling this year, first time in a while. We're starting off at home. The series got a couple tournaments. Let's talk about some teams.
Well, we've got Fordham coming in the first weekend. Obviously our Atlantic 10 team we've played in the past. They're very competitive. They play really hard. Next weekend is Monmouth out of the Northeast Conference, and they've been to regionals probably as many times as we have, so they're used to winning. Then we go on the road, and then we've got a first-year tournament, the Terry Sisiski Classic, and that's Princeton, Holy Cross, and ourselves in a 4-day tournament. We're playing, and then there'll be some cross play between Holy Cross and Princeton. But we're honoring Terry. He was always a big part of our program, a big part of VCU. So, be able to put his name on that tournament and run that every year, it's going to be pretty exciting. Boy, it's too early to tell. I think for me, we need to play pretty well defensively on the infield. That's probably the question coming in, is how well we'll play defensively on the infield. And that goes along with your pitching. If we throw strikes and we have some guys get better, we've got some sophomores that have a lot of potential, in Haynes and Farrah and Hauser. Those guys need to step up to the plate and really get more dominant than they were last year. We protected them a little bit. And if they do, I think we can have a chance to have a very good club. If they struggle a little bit early, we'll have to be patient with them, but hopefully they'll get ready to roll. And, we just got to play defense and pitch, and then I think our hitting will come, and we'll play enough offense to win.